Yes, so my poor don't bust out to breaking news. Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, the president of Burkina Faso, just exposed and arrest deadly coup plotters. 113 deadly coup plotters. Take your time, watch this video. Hit the comment section with your opinion, hit the like button, Facebook, recommend it to everybody. Share the video because normally it's about to get down.
When Ibrahim Traore stepped up to lead Burkina Faso, it wasn't like flipping a switch. It was more like walking into a storm barefoot. Every step he took, there were people trying to trip him up, some right in front of him, others hiding in the shadows. We're talking shady deals, whispered betrayals, even plots to take him out. At the same time, he was trying to bring peace to a country constantly under attack by armed groups. But the real danger, it wasn't always the ones with guns. Some of the people trying to bring him down didn't carry weapons. They wore suits, smiled in meetings, and blended in with the crowd. These were the undercover players, spies and insiders working with powerful countries that didn't want Traore's vision to succeed. Now here's where things get smart. Instead of chasing ghosts, Traore decided to follow the trail that doesn't lie: money. He called in a group of financial experts and gave them one job: dig into the bank records of people who used to be big names in the government, generals, ministers, all of them. And then, boom, they found it. Some of these ex-leaders had accounts stuffed with cash. We're talking massive amounts, way more than anyone could explain, and the sources, suspicious to say the least. The pieces came together fast. Over 100 individuals were secretly working behind the scenes, trying to destabilize the country. Once their names were out, their bank accounts were locked tight. No more funny business, but that's only part of the story. Now Traore has to decide what to do with the people he's uncovered. And this isn't just about keeping his seat, it's about protecting something bigger. He knows if he goes down, so does the dream he's fighting for. And he's not just guessing. History already taught Burkina Faso that lesson. Just look at what happened to Thomas Sankara, the country's former revolutionary leader, betrayed by those closest to him. Gone too soon. Traore's made up his mind. That won't happen again. Which brings us to something big that went down on November 19th, 2024. If you are still watching this video, it means you love it. Do you think the people of Burkina Faso are lucky to have a leader like Ibrahim Traore? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Out of nowhere, Burkina Faso's economy boss, Dr. Abubakar Nakano-Obo, dropped a bombshell. He signed a big-time order that sent shockwaves through the country. The message? Anyone helping out the rebels with money, whether openly or secretly, was going to have a big problem. You see, these rebels aren't just random fighters. They're the same ones who've been trying again and again to take out Captain Ibrahim Traore, the man leading the country right now. Their goal's pretty simple: cause chaos, mess up the government, and open the doors for powerful outsiders to swoop in and take control. But Traore's team wasn't about to sit back and wait. With support from the military, his government quickly froze the bank accounts of 2 organizations and 113 people. That's right, 113. Their money? Gone in a snap. Their operations? Cut off at the source. But it wasn't just the freeze that shocked everyone. It was the names on that list. The kind of names no one expected. People who were once close to power. People who shook hands in the spotlight, smiled in pictures, and played the part of loyal insiders. And one name made jaws drop. Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henri Sandaogo Damiba. Yes, that Damiba, the man who kicked out Burkina Faso's elected president and took power himself back in early 2022. But it didn't last long. Just months later, Traore rose up and removed him, forcing Damiba to flee into exile in Togo. Most folks figured he was done. Retired, watching from afar. Turns out, not even close. According to officials, Damiba's been busy, allegedly slipping secrets to rebel groups and foreign agents, trying to shake up the country from behind the curtain. They say he's even been involved in a new plan to eliminate Traore altogether. Now the government wants him back. Talks with Togo are underway to bring Damiba home and put him on trial. But will they hand him over? That's still up in the air. And Damiba isn't the only familiar face caught in the net. This latest move by the Burkinabe government has uncovered a long list of high-profile people accused of trying to bring down Traore's leadership from the inside. These aren't just people grumbling in the background, they're ex-government officials, military brass, media stars, influential politicians, all allegedly tied to a hidden network designed to shake the foundation of the state. One of the biggest names on that list? General Djibril Bassolé, a man once seen as a major player in both military and diplomatic circles. He used to serve as Burkina Faso's foreign minister and was known around the world, but now he's in the spotlight for very different reasons, accused of teaming up with the wrong side. Then there's Alpha Bare, a former journalist turned politician, someone with deep ties to the media and a smooth way with words. Word on the street is that someone's been playing puppet master, pulling strings, twisting stories and quietly turning people against the very government trying to keep the country on its feet. That someone, a man named Alpha Bare, with his media connections and smooth talk, authorities think he's been slipping out messages designed to stir up anger and confusion, without ever touching a weapon. But Bare's not the only one catching heat. Next up is Ahmed Kaunda, once a top special forces commander, known for being sharp and calculated on the battlefield. Now he's being accused of using those same skills to quietly plan secret moves that could shake Captain Traore's grip on power. He's not alone either. Former military officers like Louise Didier Bamouni have reportedly joined him. And then there's Romeo Awo, who authorities believe was involved in underground plots to cause serious trouble for the government. But this isn't just about individual players anymore. Traore's administration is going after the big picture, and that includes two powerful insurgent groups blamed for unspeakable violence. Since 2015, more than 26,000 people have been killed by these groups. Let that sink in. Whole communities gone, families torn apart. And what's even more heartbreaking, over half of those deaths, about 13,500, have happened just since Traore stepped into office in late 2022. That's not even counting what came next. Schools, roads, clinics destroyed. Villages wiped off the map like they were never there. And more than 2 million people forced to flee their homes, left with nothing. The main reason these groups kept going? Money. Quiet donations and secret funding kept them alive while the country bled. So Traore decided to hit them where it hurts most, their wallets. The government froze the accounts of 113 people and a handful of organisations, cutting off the cash that made all this chaos possible. Without money, these groups can't buy weapons, pay fighters, or spread fear like they used to. And once they're weak and scrambling, that's when the next part kicks in. According to reports, elite Burkinabe forces are gearing up for secret missions, targeted strikes meant to crush these groups for good, while they're still recovering from the financial blow. It's a bold shift from defence to full-on offence. The goal? Take out the problem at its root. And here's where things get really interesting. Some of the frozen bank accounts. They're stacked. We're talking piles of money, allegedly wired in from powerful foreign sponsors, hoping to buy loyalty and break the country from the inside. Now there's talk of putting that money to better use, like finally giving Burkina Faso soldiers the gear and supplies they've gone without for years. Right now the military is stretched thin, soldiers lack even the basics. And the people stuck in war-torn zones? Some have had to survive on leaves. Yes, leaves. Captain Traore hasn't been shy about who he blames. He's called out past leaders for letting things fall apart, saying they focused more on power than protecting people. Now he's trying to flip the script, and fast. One major step? A travel ban on all 113 people tied to the financial network. That means no fleeing the country, no hiding out abroad. If the government needs answers, they'll know exactly where to find them. Still, there's one name everyone keeps whispering about. Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, the man Traore replaced. Some say he's the one pulling the strings behind all this. Right now, Burkina Faso is in deep talks with Togo, hoping to bring back a man who many believe is the mastermind behind a dangerous plot. But whether he actually gets handed over, that part's still up in the air. In African politics, powerful figures don't always face the music. They've got friends in high places and connections that stretch across borders, giving them just enough protection to slip through the cracks. But this time might be different. Captain Ibrahim Traore and his team seem determined to change that old pattern. No more hiding behind titles. No more dodging responsibility. And this isn't just about cleaning house or punishing a few bad actors. What they're up against is a tangled web of corruption, spying, and foreign interference that runs deep. Taking it apart isn't a one-step job, it's a full-on mission. And there's one huge question hanging in the air. Can Traore take down the biggest threat to his rule before it's too late? What started off looking like a local power struggle has now exploded into something much bigger. According to Burkina Faso's National Security Minister, Mahamadou Sana, this wasn't just a group of frustrated ex-leaders meeting in secret. It was a full-scale conspiracy, and it didn't stop at Burkina Faso's borders. Intelligence reports say the plot reached into Ghana, Nigeria, and Côte d'Ivoire, where some of the key players were quietly organising, far from the spotlight. From those safe zones, they worked on one shared goal: to knock Captain Traore out of power and tear down his government piece by piece. And at the centre of it all, Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba. Yep, the same Damiba Traore ousted in 2022. The same one now living in Togo, who many thought had quietly left the political stage. Turns out he may never have left at all. Officials say Damiba was working behind the scenes the whole time, but he wasn't acting solo. He allegedly built a team that included ex-lawmakers, former ministers, and even some media insiders. Together they started spreading targeted stories, hoping to turn the public against Traore while also pulling in cash from both local and foreign donors. But here's the part that made this way more than a political grudge match. The conspiracy reportedly teamed up with violent insurgent groups known across the Sahel for ruthless attacks and terror tactics. According to investigators, these groups weren't just watching from the sidelines. They were given tools, targets, and support. Their job? Create chaos, cause fear, attack where it would hurt most. Civilians, military bases, and even government landmarks. Authorities say they had maps and plans outlining exactly what they wanted to hit. A military base near Manga, the drone operations centre, even the presidential palace. Their goal wasn't complicated. It was to launch hard and fast, terrify the public, and make Traore's leadership look like it was crumbling under pressure. But bullets and bombs weren't their only weapons. Investigators say they uncovered a slick media strategy too. The idea was to pump out messages suggesting that Traore was in over his head, that he couldn't keep the country safe. If people believed that, it could tip the scales, make them start doubting, get them asking for someone, anyone else, to take the lead. And that's how the plot was supposed to unfold. Violence, fear, confusion, then a power grab. It wasn't just politics, it was power games on a whole new level. This wasn't some rushed, last-minute coup attempt. This was carefully built over months. Every piece of it planned to hit hard, fast, and all at once. Then came a major break. A few arrests in neighbouring Niger pulled the curtain back. During questioning, suspects reportedly spilled the details. How long it had been in motion, who was involved, how the money moved, and what the final goal really was. In response, Traore's government kicked off a massive counter-operation to wipe out whatever's left of the network. Authorities in Burkina Faso have started asking the families of suspected plotters to come forward with anything they might know, no matter how small. And they're warning everyday folks to stay alert, just in case trouble tries to hide in plain sight. But let's be clear, this isn't just about stopping a power grab. According to Captain Ibrahim Traore, this is much bigger. It's about clearing out corruption, holding traitors accountable, and giving the country a fresh start. Oh, and if you're still watching this video, clearly you're hooked. So go ahead and smash that like button before we dive deeper. Here's where things get real. For months, whispers of foreign meddling in Burkina Faso's mess have been brushed off as conspiracy talk. But now, that conspiracy is starting to look like a carefully crafted plan. A darker, more calculated plan. One that aimed to shake Burkina Faso from both the inside and the outside at the same time. Countries like Mali and Burkina Faso have already pointed fingers at France, saying it's been fanning the flames of insurgency in the region. But new reports suggest the goal wasn't just to stir up chaos, it was to swap Traore out with someone more convenient, someone willing to play ball with foreign interests. The strategy? Use rebel groups like chess pieces, arm them, boost their confidence, then let them unleash a wave of violence. The country would be drowning in panic and instability. People would be desperate for calm. And right then, boom, Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba makes his return. The same man Traore ousted back in 2022, suddenly rebranded as the hero who could save Burkina Faso from the very crisis his allies helped create. As if by magic, the rebel attacks would stop. Foreign supporters would rally behind Damiba. And the people, they'd be told this was the only path to peace. But Traore sees through it. He knows if this plan goes through, the country will stay stuck in a never-ending cycle. A cycle where outside powers play puppet master and ordinary citizens are caught in the crossfire of decisions they never asked for. Burkina Faso can't afford to repeat that loop again. So now, Traore is going after two things. First, he's taking the fight straight to the rebel groups. These aren't just random attackers. They're being used as tools in a global power game. And his message is loud and clear. Burkina Faso won't be ruled by fear. Military operations are being ramped up. Villages are being protected. And the people are being shown that their government is not backing down. But fighting rebels isn't enough. There's still the risk that Damiba could strike again. As long as he's hiding out in Togo, the threat of another coup is always there. That's why Traore is pushing hard for his extradition. Not just to put him on trial, but to stop him from continuing to pull strings from the shadows. And history already wrote this script once before. Back in 1987, Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader Thomas Sankara was gunned down in a coup led by none other than his own comrade, Blaise Compaoré. Compaoré stayed in power for 27 years. During that time, the country sank deeper into poverty, foreign dependence grew, and people struggled just to survive. When Compaoré was finally overthrown, there was hope for justice. But in 2016, that hope hit a wall. Alassane Ouattara, the president of Côte d'Ivoire, gave Compaoré Ivorian citizenship, protecting him from being sent back to face charges. Even though he was later sentenced to life in prison for his role in Sankara's murder, he still lives free in exile. Traore doesn't want history to replay itself, not on his watch. This time, things are different. Paul-Henri Damiba won't just walk away like Blaise Compaoré did. For years, powerful leaders in Burkina Faso managed to slip out of trouble, no matter what they did. They had connections, they had protection. And justice? It never seemed to catch up. But now that old pattern is being broken. Traore's government is drawing a line in the sand. The people who played a role in tearing the country apart, those who stirred violence, spread fear, and secretly worked to topple the government, are going to be held accountable. And Damiba, he's at the top of that list. But this story doesn't stop at arrests and frozen bank accounts. It's opening a much bigger conversation across the nation. One question has everyone talking. Should people who commit crimes against national security face the death penalty? Burkina Faso got rid of capital punishment back in 2018. But now, with all the betrayals and the recent coup plot exposed, some in the military-led government are rethinking things. They argue that when someone tries to hand over a whole country to chaos, when lives are lost and peace is shattered, there should be serious consequences. And they are not wrong about the danger. This wasn't just some harmless political move. The people behind this plot weren't planning debates and speeches. They were preparing ambushes, spreading lies, and targeting civilians. They had every intention of throwing the country into violence to grab power. But instead of pushing Traore out, they ended up making him stronger. What was supposed to be a secret plan to knock him off his seat turned out to be a giant mistake. It exposed the traitors. It showed the public exactly who had been hiding behind the scenes, pretending to care about the country while pulling strings in the shadows. Now, instead of losing control, Traore's grip on leadership is tighter than ever. He's using the failed coup as fuel to push bold new reforms, changes aimed at making sure something like this never happens again. The tables have turned. Those who once whispered behind closed doors, thinking no one would dare touch them, are now scrambling, running scared, hoping to cut deals, but it might be too late. Damiba, once a man in uniform giving orders, is now the one being hunted by the law. He's accused of plotting to take down the very leader who replaced him, and doing it with help from foreign allies and armed rebels. His reputation has flipped overnight. Where his name once stood for military power, Now it's tied to betrayal. A man who tried to take back control by breaking the rules instead of earning the people's trust. But there's still one big question hanging over everything. Will Togo protect him? We've seen this happen before. Just look at Traore. After being accused of helping kill Burkina Faso's beloved revolutionary, Thomas Sankara, he found a safe haven next door in Côte d'Ivoire. The Ivorian government gave him citizenship, effectively blocking any chance of extradition. He avoided trial for years, even after being sentenced to life in prison. Could Damiba be the next chapter in that same old playbook? If Burkina Faso succeeds in bringing him back, it won't just be about one man facing charges. It'll send a clear message across the entire continent. Nobody, no matter how powerful, can play with a nation's future and expect to disappear into exile. The courts are already getting ready. They want to set an example. Not just for Damiba, but for anyone else thinking about selling out their country to outsiders or chasing power at any cost. And Damiba won't be alone in the courtroom. There are 113 others who've been arrested in connection with the plot. Each one of them is expected to go through a long legal battle. The government isn't beating around the bush. They've made it crystal clear. Anyone caught betraying the country, whether by plotting a takeover or feeding secrets to outside forces, will face the full weight of the law. No shortcuts, no exceptions. And they're not just making threats. They're pulling out the books and flipping to some serious laws. One of them, known as Law 025-2018-AN, is part of Burkina Faso's penal code. It doesn't throw around the word sedition, but it does spell out exactly what happens to people who try to sabotage national security. Treason, espionage, trying to topple the government. These crimes come with heavy consequences, usually long prison sentences. But now something else is on the table. Back in 2018, Burkina Faso decided to get rid of the death penalty. It was a bold move, meant to take a stand against extreme punishment. But that decision is being questioned again. After uncovering a massive plot to bring down the government, a plot with more than 100 people involved, including insiders and foreign backers, some officials are saying, maybe the punishment needs to match the crime. Their argument is not just about punishing those already caught, it's about sending a loud message to anyone else who might be thinking of doing the same. What do you do when the people meant to protect your country are secretly planning its downfall? How do you stop the next wave of betrayal before it even begins? Some believe the answer lies in bringing back the ultimate punishment. They say it's the only thing strong enough to stop future conspirators in their tracks. Others, though, believe true justice doesn't require executions. They think lifelong prison terms can still deliver justice, while holding on to the progress made in recent years. Now, the spotlight is on President Ibrahim Traore. He's been very clear. He won't tolerate people within his own system trying to shake the foundation of the country. And while he hasn't said outright whether he supports bringing the death penalty back, many believe he's seriously considering it, especially given the size and danger of this conspiracy. The 113 people arrested. They include former military leaders, high-ranking officials, and intelligence agents. These weren't outsiders, they were on the inside, working quietly to unleash chaos. Now comes the big question. What should their punishment look like? Is locking them up enough? Or does the moment call for something more forceful? Something that warns others not to even think about following the same path? Because if a network this large operated in secret for this long, who's to say there aren't more out there, still hidden, waiting, watching, planning? And what the government does next could decide whether those hidden traitors stay scared or feel brave enough to try again. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe.